first among us who put themselves last. To the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line and online. To the ones keeping shelves full and keeping us hopeful. To those who don't stop and those making all the stops. To the ones who pick up, suit up, and never let us down. From all of us at Duncan to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
OnsideRadio.com knows gamers need a home.
Can you dig it?
That's why for the next 60 seconds,
Can you count, suckers?
here's your Onside Radio E-Report with Kai Chen Chisholm.
Misfits Gaming Group, a gaming organization that has teams in League of Legends, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Overwatch, and the Call of Duty League, have recently announced that they're partnering with Intel and creating a series of competitions with their academy, the Misfits Academy, to find talented people in the space of esports. Misfits Gaming, who does have their CEO in Ben Spunt, made the announcement and confirmed by Esports Observer today, in which they said the academy will focus on key areas in the industry such as competitive gaming, content creation, graphic design, and video editing. Most notably about Misfits, they are part owned by the Miami Heat, and one of their most notable teams down here in South Florida are the Florida Mutineers, as they do have their home base in Orlando and in Miami.
Stay in touch in the world of gaming with the Onside Radio E-Report. It's time for Kai's Corner on OnsideRadio.com. To talk to Kai, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. To reach out on the text line, it's 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's Kai Chen Chisholm on your home for sports talk, OnsideRadio.com.
Good morning! A beautiful Friday morning. We're ending off the week in a very, very good way. Of course, I am that man, Kai Chen Chisholm. As always, with me is Sean Stanley, the producer of all producers, who has to listen through every single commercial that could possibly cross his way. And I was joking around with him about it because some of them are a little bit interesting if you listen in all the way through and go through. If you're watching on YouTube, hi, hello, how are you doing? Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well as liking the video, the stream, everything along those lines. Also, when you subscribe, right next to it is the notification bell. Make sure you hit that and hit all notifications, not some. When you hit all notifications, you will be notified about every single live stream, every single video, anything at all that comes out of the Onside Radio YouTube channel. Sean, I want to ask you, was your morning uneventful yet again? I know yesterday you said there was a little bit of traffic. How was today?
No, it was very uneventful until Marsh's nipple talk.
If you missed anything from 4th and 20, can we have that sound, right? Can we just play it again for anyone that missed it? Just because they had a conversation, and I was out here. Usually I like to listen to the show once I get to the stadium, because while I'm driving I like to listen to music. It's that's my thing. So I like to listen to the show while I'm waiting and everything like that, and sometimes I'm not paying attention to stuff, so I don't see when the light goes off. And I was coming in, and they were just talking about something. They'll say, you'll see what happens. And I was just like, what's going on? Because today I was looking, because there's people doing stuff here at the stadium, so I was trying to see if maybe I could like catch a player, maybe see David Beckham, something, just kind of catch someone and just be like, oh, I saw that person. Not like go up to them unprofessionally, but like, oh, I saw that person doing something. But anyways, they were talking about a subject with Manny Diaz, and this is what Marsh had to say on that subject.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah, you do. You love him.
I love Manny.
You love him?
I love him.
Would you take him to breast if he needed, like, nourishment?
Oh, my God.
Would you? If you happened to be lactating and he needed nourishment, would you take him to breast?
If there's like a live or die situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd take
Like you guys are on a deserted island.
Like my breast.
Your breast is lactating for some bizarre reason. And he needs sustenance, and you take him to breast.
Well, I believe in helping one another.
So you would take him to breast.
I would take him to breast.
Mm-hmm.
So if you missed that at all, I encourage you. Not only is it just like I love cross talking with them. It's one of it's one of the things I do most definitely look forward to when I come in, just because it's always something, whether it's with Toast or Marsh, and just the environment is great. So it's always a great start when there's a great crosstalk getting into the show, and then especially when I have a really good crosstalk with ending the show. It's like just that great wave of vibes. So I encourage you from 8 to 10 a.m. here at Onside to listen to 4th and 20 because there's just everything from confessionals with Marsh to Marsh sucking on Manny Diaz sucking on Marsh's nipples for lactation. There's everything there. But anyways, we have our 4 polls for the day, and we're going to have on Ira Winderman in the first hour. We'll talk about the Miami Heat with him, and then we'll have on Achilles from the Lemon City Live group. It'll be like a nice little reunion talking with Sean, as Sean had done their show as well before when they were here at Onside. So he'll come on, he'll talk about the Dolphins with us, the Heat. I think I'll also talk Panthers and a little bit of Marlins. It's just going to be kind of everything, kind of like when we have Royal on. It's just going to be anything that we can talk about and just have a little bit of fun with it. But we have our polls. If you're on...
He is the beef of Wellington.
If you're on the YouTube comments... I post the poll there just so that it can be easier access for you. You can go out and copy that. If not, and you're listening wherever you might be listening, one, I encourage you to come over to the YouTube side at Onside Radio's YouTube and interact with me in the comments. I love interacting with you guys, whether it's about anything. I enjoy it a lot, and I think I do a very good job of getting back to anything that goes on those. But you can find it if you're listening anywhere else on my Twitter at Samurai Radio, 2 Eyes in Samurai. You can also follow it retweeted by the Onside Radio Twitter. We have our 4 polls, as we always do, for Kai's Corner, rounding off this beautiful week, as it did pour rain yesterday, by the way. Loved that. The first poll of the day is, what would mean more to South Florida? A Dolphins Super Bowl, a Heat championship, a Marlins championship, or a Panthers championship? Running away with it completely. It's not even close. Dolphins Super Bowl at 96.1%. Heat championship at 3.3%. And it was 0 for both Marlins and Panthers. Now it's a 0.7% vote for a Panthers championship and 0 for the Marlins. I felt like that was going to be obvious, but you never know. Maybe it could have shocked me. Maybe someone was like, but baseball is pretty important. Like, it's not the most watched thing, but I feel like baseball is pretty important to people here in South Florida because there's so many people that do play it. Like, it is what it is. So I thought maybe we'd get something, but obviously, no one cares about the Marlins, unfortunately. Though, if you do care, tomorrow, deep into the count with Alex Aguirre and Christian Chase, you can find that. Troy, I know. I try to throw out the poll sometimes, Troy, and this is Troy Ortiz from the YouTube comments. I try to throw it out where maybe I could get some sort of surprise. This one, I felt like should have easily. I shouldn't have even included the others. It should have just been Dolphins Heat because clearly no one cares about the others. But we'll talk about that as well in the roundtable regarding the Panthers. And then also right now, who are you picking? It comes to NFL draft talk. It's Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase. Those are obviously the 2 big names right now in Dolphins world. Kyle Pitts running away with the vote at 78.1%. Jamar Chase with 21.9%. Third is, which core do you like the best? Now, this involves one pick of the 4 main guys that have been talked about for the Dolphins throughout the draft process, and then Najee Harris. So it's just assuming that you pick Najee and then one of the 4 main guys in Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, and Devonta Smith. Option 1 has Najee and Waddle. Option 2 has Najee and Chase. Option 3 has Najee and Kyle Pitts. And option D has Najee and Devonta Smith. So far, option C, which includes Pitts and Najee, running away with the vote at 56.7%. Second to that is the Chase and Najee, which is at 26%. Then at 12%, we have Devonta Smith. And then at 4% is Jalen Waddle and Najee Harris. So a lot of it really leaning towards Chase and Pitts still. And those cores, each core includes Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, Mike Gesicki, and Tua, obviously. It's just kind of like, this is the offensive side that we have. Who are you voting for? And then lastly, because I touched on it yesterday, and Tito got some of his thoughts in as well, but I will try to talk about it as well a little bit more today to try to, because a lot of stuff has come out now, and it's getting really interesting, which is Erling Haaland will play for what team next season? So far, it's a 3-way tie at 27.6% with Borussia Dortmund, Barcelona, Manchester United at 27.6%, and then following that is Real Madrid at 17.2%. So those are our 4 polls for the day. If you haven't already, again, if you're on YouTube comments, just copy that link. You can get right to it. Make sure you follow me while you're at it. And then if you're listening, wherever you may be listening, you can also just search up my Twitter at Samurai Radio, 2 Eyes in Samurai. Again, you can follow me on there, and then it's also retweeted by the Onside Radio Twitter account. So I want to quickly, as we're getting ready to get out here, talking to the, or at least from this segment, talking to the roundtable segment that we have today, because it involves the Florida Panthers, and more specifically, it asks and begs the question, are the Florida Panthers getting enough coverage? Are they getting the coverage they deserve? More into it is, do you feel the media, fans, and social media are giving them team the support they deserve when you consider they're tied with the Lightning for 52 points, best record in the entire NHL? I would say no, they're not getting what they deserve. And I think it's pretty clear because even I feel like I don't talk about the Panthers at all. Now, granted, I'm not a hockey guy, so anything I would say on hockey would just be completely incorrect on my point of view. If you do, though, David Dwork has his show here every Saturday, and you can listen to him on Chirping the Cats here at Onside, and you can listen to his stuff. But I truthfully, I have been watching the games. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about hockey, but when it comes to actual knowledge, I lack on that end. And I think definitely not only am I, but a lot of fans not really recognizing. I think early on it was surprising us. The Florida Panthers were kind of the talk for a long time. And I think it's a lot of things. The Dolphins offseason was going on and not a lot was happening, so they were getting a lot of coverage. The Heat sucked at the time, so there was not a lot of coverage on them because, you talked about the winning team. They're still the winning team. And right now, they're doing more winning than the Heat. The Dolphins offseason obviously takes over, especially as we lead up to the draft. So I think the unfortunate part, and to answer this the best way that I can, is that hockey just is not big here. And it's just going to be hard, no matter how good they are, and they are very good, for them to get the coverage that they deserve because hockey just is not big here. I mean, baseball even, there's a bunch of people that love baseball here. There's a bunch of people that play baseball here. And baseball and the Marlins aren't even that popular here. So it's just, it goes off of what's the thing. And Miami is a basketball and football city, not, even if you want to go out there and just say not Miami. If you want to say South Florida is a basketball and football city. Whether you're in Broward County, Dade County, whether you're in Kendall, whether you're in Fort Lauderdale, it doesn't matter. Those are the two sports that matter the most. So I think that they deserve way more coverage than they're getting. And I would say especially for myself, and I think about that and want to kind of try to bring some spotlight on the Panthers as much as I possibly can. But for sure, I don't think that they're getting the coverage they deserve. They should be getting more. It's just that hockey is not that big of a sport here. And that's the most that I can give on that take for the roundtable segment because, again, hockey is not my forte, though I think the Panthers are extremely good. And I've been trying to learn as much as I possibly can about them. When we come up in the first hour again, we're going to have on Ira Winderman for the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report. So we'll have him on in just about 15 minutes here. And then we'll come back after the break and talk a little bit more about the Miami Dolphins and go through as well. Florida Panthers fans have a place to call home every Saturday morning as Cats insider David Dwork will host Chirping the Cats Radio every Saturday at 10 a.m. Onside Radio is committed to all sports. Panthers fans can now connect every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. with David Dwork on the home for Panthers fans worldwide, OnsideRadio.com.
Onside Radio, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan.
Let's raise a cup to the first among us who put themselves last. To the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line and online. To the ones keeping shelves full and keeping us hopeful. To those who don't stop and those making all the stops. To the ones who pick up, suit up, and never let us down. From all of us at Duncan to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
Miami Dolphins fans can always count on the best coverage at OnsideRadio.com. Every week, keep up with your favorite team as Dolphins writer Omar Kelly joins us with exclusive reports. And when news breaks, catch the EJDConstruction.com Miami Dolphins report on the home for Dolphins fans everywhere, OnsideRadio.com.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love. Including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com.
Hey, it's Big O. You know, air quality in your home or business is so important now, folks. That's why you've got to call M&S Air Conditioning. Let them install high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit that attracts, captures, and destroys biological contaminants to improve your air quality. M&S is always on call from 7:30 a.m. till 9 o'clock p.m. and, of course, emergency Sundays. Call for more info on high-efficiency air filters and their preventative maintenance plans. Visit M&S Air Conditioning at ac-florida.com.
Welcome back to Kai's Corner. To reach out to Kai, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Back to Kai's Corner.
All right, a little bit of a switch up. I feel like we haven't had a super upbeat music like that in a while. We usually we mellow. Oh my God, why did I say Juan? It's because I was reading something. Sean. Oh man.
It's Friday. It's okay.
We haven't had upbeat music like that. Usually it's nice and chill vibes. That one was like a little bit different.
I'm just mixing it up a little bit here.
Mixing it up.
Seeing what pops up on my little thing over here.
I have to ask you for that playlist because I've been looking for stuff because I'm trying to add some non-copyright stuff and all of it is like this like EDM electronic like stuff and I'm not in that scene at all, and I need some normal music that I can just have in the background of a video and just let play and not just be annoying. Fins up back to you as well, Drew, in the comments on the YouTube comment section. Drew Boo, that's correct. So we have a little bit of a not too short but shorter than usual because we're going to have on Ira here at 10:30 where we'll talk to him about the Miami Heat on the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report with Ira Winderman. A lot to ask Ira because the Heat are now on a 3-game winning streak, and not only is it just like a 3-game winning streak where it's like, hey, we can feel a little bit, 3-game winning streak, everything is going good, everything's happening. You see someone else is asking for the beat, Troy in the chat. Sean, this playlist that you have, people have been asking. People want to know what it's at and where it's from. But you have the... Do we have a name?
I'm going to have to start charging. They're just hip-hop beats.
What did you search?
Royalty-free.
You just searched up royalty-free hip-hop beats on YouTube?
Yeah, that's the easiest thing to do. Copyright-free music, hip-hop. Done.
Right. That's all I'll do.
They give you the little playlist that's got like 270. You got good ones, you got bad ones. You got to research it. You got to do some work.
I do the work.
You youngins these days, no work. Don't want to do no work.
Just results.
Results.
You search up non-copyright songs on YouTube, and all it gives you is just a bunch of EDM stuff.
Yeah, but if you click on one of them, then it takes you to where you can go to the playlist underneath. They have the 50 or 60 different songs.
Oh,
and
I know.
You start going through.
I know.
I've give you a YouTube tutorial.
What do you? I grew up on YouTube.
It doesn't sound
this
like
is
it.
MySpace.
No, MySpace. I grew up on MySpace.
I started on YouTube. That's where everything for me.
Well, I started on MySpace.
Well, yeah, there you go. No, that's something that's actually it's kind of cool that it's I get to interact with people in the YouTube comments and talking to them and stuff like that because I really did start everything I ever did on YouTube. Came when my father built me a PC and I started posting YouTube videos. So hey, that's where I was able to branch off.
Father to thank for this.
Huh?
I'm just kidding.
I do. And he watches all the time and he's in the comments right now. I do have my father to thank. That's one of the things that, and I want to touch on the Heat as well. That's one of the things that I think I tell him all the time, and he probably every time he's like, no, Kai, you have the time. But I have my father to thank for, and my mom as well. But when it comes to,
I think all of us do.
Financially supporting everything that I've done from this side, and actually believing me no matter what. It's it doesn't even matter what it is. My father goes the extra mile for me when it comes to the financial stuff with anything, whether it comes to needing, not pressuring me when I get a mic or doing anything like that, you know. He has always kind of like been the one where it's like, listen, you know what? If you really think that that's going to help you, then get it. But also giving me that financial thing where it's like, yeah, you know, you got to learn how to save your money. But if you really think it's going to help, you know, then do it.
Like that Oculus.
Yeah. Well, that I got off of cheap. I got that really cheap. So that was a different story. But like with everything else, he has been the one, like, built my PC for me. He bought me my first mic, bought me my first headset, bought me like 2 of the monitors that I had when I started out. He did and started everything for me. So if anyone, you know, I my mother as well, my stepmom Carmen as well, they all have helped me out instrumentally. But when it comes to anything financially and just kind of believing in me no matter what, my father is definitely the one that has always been there for me with anything that I ever needed. So shout out to my dad, and he's in the comments. Love you, father. So the Heat, they go on, they're on a 3-game winning streak right now. They beat the Knicks. They beat the Pacers. Thank God they beat the Pacers, by the way. And then they beat the Warriors yesterday. Steph Curry was throwing up a couple threes that were a little crazy. But yesterday is the big one, because yesterday we finally got to see number 4 at guard for the Miami Heat, Victor Oladipo. And it was, you know, it was okay. He had 5 fouls early on in the fourth, which sucked because you expected that, like, if there was a chance that he could play in the garbage time, since he's still getting acclimated, that would be kind of some of the minutes he would really try to perform in and get good in. And it didn't work out too well, you know, 5 fouls early on, but it's okay. You know, he had 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 6 points. Like, it was an okay debut for Vic, and I think it definitely brought something defensively. Not just on the offensive side, but defensively, I think it brought a lot. So I'm really interested to see what Ira thinks about that. And the other thing that's been tweeted about a lot lately is Tyler Hero has been doing very well. And I think Ethan had tweeted out a stat on Tyler, and I want to make sure I get it right because I don't want to misquote the stat, and I don't want to misquote Ethan because I like to make sure I get people, unless I can paraphrase it the correct way. Something about over the last 5 games, Tyler Hero, there you go. Tyler Hero is averaging 19.4 points in his last 5 games, while also shooting 41.1% from 3. So Tyler's been doing a pretty good job the last couple games. Like, he's been, the thing too is I really like Tyler Hero, so a lot of me is like wanting him to do good. But I think that Tyler Hero's been doing a very good job lately, and I think the Heat over these past 3 games, these are the 3 games that you expected them to walk away with. If anything, you thought maybe they lose to the Pacers. But over these 3 games, and when we talked to Ariel Atias on Monday, or was it Tuesday? I think it was Monday. He had mentioned, it was Monday. He mentioned that these 3 games, Knicks, Pacers, Warriors, I was like, oh, you know, you probably want to walk away with at least 2 of those 3, right? He stopped me dead in my tracks and said, you're walking away with all 3. There's no more excuses. Excuses time is over. Enough of the excuses. These are teams that you should go out and beat. These are games that you should go out and win. Your next tough game would be against the Grizzlies. You should win your next 4, being Knicks, Pacers, Warriors, Cavs. And look, so far they've won the first 3. They beat the Knicks, they beat the Pacers, even in a rocky-ish game. Really, all 3 of those games were a little bit rocky. But even in a rocky-ish game with the Knicks and the Pacers, you still won those games, and then you do get to beat the Warriors as well. Look, I'm happy with what's going on right now, even throughout the 6-game losing streak. Look, I didn't like it, but I was still happy with what was happening. I think we all saw that in those games it was leading up to, okay, finally we're going to be able to get a chance to get a game changer on the team, get someone who is going to be a change both offensively and defensively, which is one of the reasons why I really, not that Kyle Lowry is a horrible defender, but it's one of the reasons why I didn't want Kyle. One, I thought he was too old. And the second, I didn't want to give him a 2-year, $50 million contract. The second one being, like, if I was the Miami Heat. And then the second one being that I just thought that you had more upside with Victor Oladipo, especially if he plays well or does enough in the organization and with the culture to make you want to keep him and show that he can do a lot more than just being maybe what he was with the Pacers. I mean, if you get what Victor Oladipo was with the Pacers, you'd be happy. But just kind of, you're getting a guy that's going to be very efficient, and he's going to help defensively, and that's what you want. That's one of the things that they needed the most. Like, we were dealing with so much wrong defensively, offensively as well, a lot offensively. But we were dealing with so much against the team defensively, and Vic brings that immediately. And yesterday you saw a couple moments where it was like that, and that's what you wanted to see. Now, there were certain things about yesterday's game that weren't great. I mean, Andrew Wiggins scoring 23, Drummond does a little bit of his work, Steph put up 36, so you're just kind of sitting there like, there's still a lot that wasn't great, but you're getting there. I mean, you saw some instant connections on some of those assists from Vic to Bam. We want to keep seeing that. You know, Duncan had a very good game. He had, it seems like once he didn't get traded, he's kind of on his feet again. And then Jimmy, of course, being Jimmy, whenever he needs to take over, he does. You know, I think yesterday was a good game all around for the team. Jimmy putting up numbers, Duncan putting up numbers, Tyler putting up numbers. You had moments when you needed them most from Andre Iguodala, when you needed them most from Vic, a couple times at least, and then when you needed them from Trevor Ariza. So now you just go up against this game against the Cavs. I'm not really thinking much of it. I'll ask Ira what he thinks of it, because I'm sure that he'll have more to say regarding that Cavs game, and maybe if he thinks that the Heat might have a trap. I don't think it's going to be a trap. I don't think it's going to be a scheduled loss. And I know Ira is kind of under that same mentality where it's enough of the excuses. It's time to put up or shut up. So I'll ask him about that and then ask him about the Grizzlies game as well. Heat and NBA fans can catch Ira Winderman here exclusively at Onside Radio with our accurate of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report. That coming up next here for the show. Catch Ira throughout the week at OnsideRadio.com. And when news breaks, basketball fans know Onside Radio is the place you get the insight you need.
Now streaming online.
Onside Radio, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
You can connect with us at OnsideRadio.com by sending us a text at 844-416-8123. Save it on your cell phone, 844-416-8123. No better place to send your comments, ask questions, win prizes. OnsideRadio.com, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Riddle me this. With all this sizzling meat and crunchy veggies nestled between toasty flatbread, who should get credit for Papa John's new papadilla? The person who invented pizza or the person who invented folding? Well, whoever it is, a tip of the tongue hat to you, sir or madam. Get a new papadilla, 4 flavors, just $6 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Keeping you informed in the world of sports. With an OnsideRadio.com sports update.
The Heat win their third straight with a 116-109 victory over the Golden State Warriors last night. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson all scored at least 20 points. Not so good for the opening day for the Miami Marlins. They go down 1-0 to the Rays. Miami Tampa back at it tonight. First pitch will be 7:10. Pablo Lopez takes the mound for the Marlins. And your Florida Panthers. They keep winning now 4 in a row as an exciting 3-2 overtime win with Alex Winberg scoring the game-winning goal in overtime. This is South Florida's new choice for local sports talk. This is OnsideRadio.com. Coming up, our Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report with Ira Winderman. That's coming next on Kai's Corner.
It's time to talk Miami Heat with NBA insider Ira Winderman. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report, exclusively at OnsideRadio.com. Let's go over the latest headlines locally with the Miami Heat and league-wide in the NBA with our very own Ira Winderman.
All right, we're here with Ira Winderman for the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report. Not only can you catch Ira on my show every week when he comes in, you catch him on all On-Site Radio shows here. Ira, first and foremost, man, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, and riding the winning streak and sort of getting used to a new roster as things just keep changing around here.
Well, yeah, you know, it's been hot all week as well. Then it rained yesterday, and now it's cold, and we're in April in Miami. So, hey, you know, more change coming through as well. You talked about the winning streak, 3-game winning streak right now for the Heat. 3 games that, of course, you wanted to walk away with wins. You walk away with all 3. Now tomorrow you go up against the Cavs. What were your take on these past 3 games before I get into the Cavs game?
I think, first of all, finding different ways to win, that there were clearly defensive victories in the games in New York and Indiana. Last night, a little more offense was needed. I think that speaks, and it's important to the variety of this team, that they can win in multiple ways. And now, especially as they're working players in. Remember last year when they worked in Iguodala and Crowder, they had that 4-month break due to the pandemic. The guys could sit with the playbook. They could sort of get used to a little more being around, and that was a little different transition. But you could sense, even with Nemanja coming in and playing as the reserve big man now ahead of Precious Achiuwa, that evolution is happening. Victor Oladipo coming right into the starting lineup. Clearly, Eric Spoelstra wanted to get to the direction he's going to take this team. So it's a team in the midst of an evolution, but when you can do that while you're also winning, it's important, especially in the playoff race in the middle of the Eastern Conference this season.
What did you make of Oladipo's first start as a Miami Heat?
I thought at the beginning he was trying to do too much to fit in. When some of his game is sort of going off on his own and creating his own possibilities, and I think that's a natural part of the acclimation process, and you could see the jitters and the foul calls. You know, he was constantly in foul trouble throughout the game, never really got a rhythm. You could see he was excited to be there, which is important that he wants to be there. It's going to take a little bit of a time, but again, when you add that level of talent and that level of skill, it's never a bad thing. Victor Oladipo makes the Miami Heat a better team. That is undeniable.
Yeah, and I mean, he did it defensively, and as you mentioned, not only has he just wanted to be here for so long as it seemed just for months and months and months, now he's here, and you could see some of that excitement, and I mean, you get the dunk as well, which is pretty nice, and you know, he had a really nice assist to Bam as well, in one of the assists he had, so it was nice to just kind of get his feet wet. It would have been great to see him a lot more. Obviously, you mentioned foul trouble. He had 5 fouls coming into the fourth, early on in the fourth, so it sucked a little bit. You mentioned Nemanja Bjelica and how he's kind of coming in as that reserve big man for Precious. What is happening with Precious Achiuwa in your mind?
I think the game has reached a level and an importance and a significance that is just above his NBA possibilities at the moment. And that's not to denigrate. And I thought Eric Spoelstra had a really good point pregame when he said, look, all the rookies this year, it's been so uneven around the league. They didn't have summer league. They didn't have an extended camp. They're having this schedule that's more compacted than it's ever been in recent seasons, and I think it just all caught up to Precious. And you could see it. You could see the pocket passes that he was fumbling away, that the speed of the game sort of moved a little bit ahead of where he stood at the moment. And I think Eric Spoelstra just sort of drew the line and said, okay, we've taken this as far as we can comfortably now. There might still be moments when we need to play him because of foul trouble or injuries, but we got to sort of start moving more toward our playoff rotation. We need the floor spacer that Nemanja can be. But you know what? There will be big bigs when it won't work. When you play the Philadelphia 76ers, if you get them in the playoffs, and they're starting with Embiid, and then they bring Dwight Howard off the bench, I'm not so sure I want Nemanja contesting the boards with someone like a Dwight Howard. So I think there still will be matchups when you have to either use more muscle you have on your roster, or still by the deadline they're now facing of next Thursday, adding another player and bringing in a little bit more size.
Who do you think that player could be? I know you were mentioning a couple of guys who are overseas right now. Who do you think that guy could potentially be?
You know, when I look at all the possibilities, and you see the older names like the Amir Johnson guys who've been around a little, I still find myself, it's not a great list, first of all, but I still find myself sort of looking at someone like a Jan Mahinmi and just a guy who's been here before, who understands the moment, who understands the speed and pace of the NBA game, who has that length, who can get you some rebounds. And again, I'm not running out and saying that's the be-all, end-all, and that solves everything. Matter of fact, this is interesting. Well, at least to me. On April 9th is the last day that a player can get waived somewhere and be eligible for another team's playoff roster. So I would not be surprised if the Heat slow plays this, because basically right now they only have the room under the luxury tax to sign one more player at the veterans minimum. So I don't think you want to necessarily lock yourself in and then like, whoa, that guy came free. And I know a lot of Heat people have also been looking and mentioning the possibilities of Hassan Whiteside getting a buyout. I find that far-fetched. But the point being, those kind of players still could wind up shaking free. So you have to be careful you don't get locked into something else. So I think the Heat definitively, before they make that signing for the balance of this season, want to see who does get waived by April 9th. Again, you have to be waived by your current team by April 9th to be playoff eligible. You can be signed any day by your new team until the final day of the season to be playoff eligible. So I think the Heat slow play it. I think they try to sort of push through with what they have. They'll be facing a bigger center come Tuesday in Jonas Valanciunas with the Grizzlies. We'll see how they deal with that with their smaller approach. Then they have the Lakers, who are lacking a degree of size right now with Anthony Davis out, but do have Marcus Gasol and now have Andre Drummond. Still got to find one more guy. There's someone out there, knowing the Heat, that they probably already targeted or already think is going to shake free at a buyout.
You mentioned Hassan, and I want to try to go back a little bit to that. One, there was like that April Fool's joke that people tried to play that, Hassan got bought out and now he's going to go on a 10-day deal. If that did hypothetically happen, Hassan gets bought out, would it make sense to bring him back into the Heat culture and the Heat locker room and the team?
I don't think so, simply because how it ended. I don't think Bam and Hassan had the greatest relationship, and I think that was more of an on-court thing of the fact that Hassan was taking the minutes and maybe Bam thought he was ready. So I don't think you do that. I think there's two sides to the coin. There's the what can you do on the court for me, and you can make an argument Hassan can give you the rebounds, can give you the block shots, can give you a degree of energy, and that probably is all true. But when it comes to chemistry, you don't risk chemistry with your 13th or 14th or 15th man. That's when you have to look at a more holistic approach of how it's going to impact everything. I can't fathom that happening. And I know Heat fans will say, hey, Ira, they brought Michael Beasley back 3 times. Anything is possible. But there never really was an issue with Michael Beasley and other players. He just sort of was a lovable goofball, and so be it. I think with Hassan, it's soured to the point that I think some of that hasn't gone away, and I don't think you do that in your locker room. Now, if you're asking me would an Hassan Whiteside type of player work for the Heat, absolutely, just not the Hassan Whiteside himself.
From that, I want to ask about the young guys. You know, Duncan had 21 last night. Tyler had 20. Ethan tweeted out something earlier. Tyler's been averaging 19, I think it was 19.2 or 19.5 points over the last 5 games. How do you kind of feel about that? You know, they're in that market where they're possibly getting traded, possibly not getting traded. And it seems like, at least with Duncan specifically as well, now he's kind of gotten on his feet a little bit, and Tyler has been, playing well in the role that he's been asked to do.
It's interesting. When people mention before the trading deadline, oh, those guys are off of their games, they're listening to the rumors, I'm like, come on. They're professionals. Everyone knows that could happen, and you have to deal with it. And if you let that affect your game, then maybe you're not mentally strong enough. But I got to tell you, when you look at the numbers of those two before the trading deadline, and you look at the numbers of those two after the trading deadline, it is so tangible that maybe there's something to that. I tend to believe something else. I think the Heat system is such that when things go sideways with a player, they find a way to get it back on track again. So I think it was more of a case of they both hit a blip, and the Heat sat down and said, this is what we got to do with Duncan, X, Y, and Z. This is what's got to happen with Tyler. And they tell the player that, and they work through that. So I think instead of the trading deadline, it was more of a case of that's the one thing that he can do very well, is they don't let a player get sideways that long, is that they step in and they do something, or, and this goes back to what you and I were talking about a few minutes before, they realize you have to move on, as in the Precious Achiuwa situation. It's a lot easier to move on from your ninth man than it is from your sixth, seventh, or eighth man. So with the Heat, I think they went out of their way to put those guys in positions where they can succeed again, and we've seen that happening now.
How important do you think that Pacers win was, Ira? When we go back and we think about, the last two, they got absolutely blown out. They went on a really bad losing streak. They get the one win back against the Knicks that even still was a little bit rocky at moments. How important do you think that Pacers win was on Wednesday?
I think any win, when you can stay with it through the end and find a way to win fourth quarter games, and Bam Adebayo spoke about that last night, I think that's critically important. I think when you can show your stability at the moments of truth, even like they did in that game in New York, that gives you confidence that when you get in the mud and you get in trouble again and you are uneven and you have to play a closing time, that you can reflect back to those moments that, hey, we made play X, Y, and Z. We made defensive stand A, B, and C. And that's what you grow from, because that's a lot closer to what the playoffs will look like than, say, tomorrow's game against the Cleveland Cavaliers or some of the easier games during the Heat's run of winning 11 of 12. So I think any of those moments, not necessarily because it was the Pacers and you were 0-2 against them and had lost the season series, but for all the moments when it doesn't happen, like the Charlotte game on Friday, when you start to question, what are you doing in those situations? How are you handling crunch times? You need to bank the moments that you can reflect on and go, okay, we were here before in this game and we did this and it worked. So I think that's what made the Indiana game and even the New York game important.
You can tell Ira during the games, and we're talking with Ira Winterman, of course, on the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat Report. You can follow him on Twitter at Ira Heat Beat. You can tell during the games, and I know this is one of the most obvious statements in the world, but I think to even some of just a casual fan, that you can tell in just the key moment, Jimmy turns it on, and it just becomes the world where it's like, okay, this is your max guy taking over and doing exactly what you want him to do. I know that he's so vital to the team and everything that happens. How do you rank his impact just kind of as a player with the culture? Everyone was always saying everything about him when he was in, with the Timberwolves and with the Bulls and all that other stuff, whereas oh, this is just not the guy. He makes the locker room bad. He's had a great impact on the locker room, has he not, Ira?
Yeah, he's found his place. And you know what? Part of that is ego also, because let's look at where Jimmy was. In Chicago, he was behind Derrick Rose, the MVP, the rookie sensation. He wasn't the leading man. They had veterans like Luol Deng at the time also, and Joakim Noah. He had to find his place a little bit further down the hierarchy. Then you go to Minnesota, and whether he liked it or not, it was sort of Karl Anthony Towns' team, even though Karl Anthony Towns hardly is the ultimate NBA leader. So he had to sort of back off there. Same thing in Philadelphia with Embiid and Ben Simmons. The difference here is he is the leading man. Bam Adebayo accepts that. Goran Dragic accepts that. Jimmy's always wanted to be that, always wanted to show that he could be that. So, yes, the Heat culture has a lot to do with it, as Dwayne Wade said. But I think also Jimmy Butler getting his own team. Some guys, that's what they want. They want to say that, hey, put me in charge, I will make this work, and you see it happening. And what I like about Jimmy lately is it's not just the fourth quarter, that he really takes the temperature of a game, and now we've seen it twice this week where in the third quarter he says, you know what? We're not going to let this get to a point where we're chasing a deficit again. He showed it in New York. He showed it in the third quarter last night. So he's also finding the moments. Eric Spoelstra doesn't have to tell him. Some of the team's older players, Udonis Haslem, doesn't have to tell him. He's sensing the moment when to take charge because he knows he doesn't have to defer to anyone else like he did in Chicago, like he did in Minnesota, like he did in Philadelphia.
Ira, thank you so much for coming on, man. Again, Ira Winderman, you can follow him on Twitter at IraHeatBeat. This has been your Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report with Ira Winderman. Ira, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, man.
And hopefully a great week, and I'll be talking to you after a victory over the Lakers next week. Thanks so much.
Of course. That would be the best. Again, that's Ira Winderman. You can follow him on Twitter at IraHeatBeat. I love talking with Ira because he's just one of the most positive guys that I've interacted with just in general when it comes to Heat stuff and everything. And knowledge, crazy knowledge as well. And then every Thursday you can catch Ira and Ethan on one of the best basketball shows in the country. That's Ethan Skolnick and Ira Winderman as they host Inside the Paint. Listen to the two of the most knowledgeable and connected reporters in the business and get year-round insight every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. with Inside the Paint on the home for hardcore basketball fans worldwide, onsiteradio.com.
This has been the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat Report with Ira Winderman. Visit Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard. Come experience the oasis that customers deserve and the dealership that earned Dealer Rater's 2020 Consumer Satisfaction Award at Acura of Pembroke Pines. This is how we do it.
Let's raise a cup to the first among us who put themselves last. To the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line and online. To the ones keeping shelves full and keeping us hopeful. To those who don't stop and those making all the stops. To the ones who pick up, suit up, and never let us down. From all of us at Dunkin' to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture, or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Every Thursday, NBA fans can catch one of the best basketball shows in the country when Ethan Skolnick and Ira Winderman host Inside the Paint. Listen to two of the most knowledgeable and connected reporters in the business. Get year-round insight every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. with Inside the Paint on your home for hardcore basketball fans. OnSideRadio.com.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like,
do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that. Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things we'll ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things